Salvete amici, Magister McKee here with a Europa Universalis 5 guide. We finance professors have hobbies, and one of mine is playing EU5. I'm creating a collection of advanced tips I've learned while playing this game in case you want to have a study break. And today's guide is an extended guide on how to save the Eastern Roman Empire, or the Byzantine Empire, if as some prefer. The empire starts in dire straits. All these hints about underage heir, stability, negative balance, legitimacy are very accurate. But they've hired an expert financial consultant, me, to fix things. To be very clear, this is a very hard start. Really, really hard start. And there's all these nasty random events and disasters that can ruin your run. I have had many, many restarts, both as I learned how to optimize things and because I get bad luck. So if something really bad happens in your first year or so, it probably is a good idea to just try restarting. Recovering from something that bad is often not, it's going to take you way too long and things are going to go poorly for you. But I have done a lot of learning by doing and then restarting when it doesn't work, so you don't have to. All right, so let's begin. Pulling up our balance screen. Things don't look so good. Inflation is really high. The country is in debt. Expenses are vastly higher than income. But we can fix things with some financial wizardry. Good thing a finance professor is here to help. So first, we're going to bring minting up all the way until it is just under causing increase of inflation. I would love to get inflation down, but we need the ducats. And also, we can have a new law about precious metal distribution. If we ban exports, we can't export gold or silver. Don't worry, there's plenty of other trades we can make, but we get an extra 30% bonus for minting. Right now, we are at 5.37. When we start the export ban, it's only 10% enacted. We've gone up. We're going to keep going up more. You can get like up to 10 ducats of minting just under the inflation amount, which should be coming both from the 33% bonus and because you're outputting less gold. The gold you are mining up is going to go down, and so that penalty on minting before you start hitting inflation is going to be lower as well. So that gets us some money. Next, we're going to automate our taxes from the estates. This will put the tax as high as possible without making them negative on their satisfaction. Unfortunately, the Byzantines start with a bunch of privileges, consolidated corruption for everyone, all of the estates. And each of those estates, they reduce the maximum tax as well as some other penalties as well. Your army morale is horrible, for instance, as well as minus 20% tax on your nobles. So you're basically never going to get money from the clergy and from the merchants, and you can get a slight. You'll be able to get this up a little bit higher with higher crown power, but you'll get a tiny amount of money from the nobles. Get a little bit of money, a non-trivial amount of money from the commoners, but your tax income is going to be really bad. But automating this will just get us as much tax as possible, and that's the best we can do until we stabilize the country and are able to remove those privileges. The next way to improve our income is through our vassals. So we already have one, Epirus, the homeland of the guy who created the term Pyrrhic victory. This is long after his time, though. And Epirus is producing us money. They're going to pay us more once we unpause, because they're going to do some trades and their income's going to change. So this will be higher, but we can do better. Now, we have some land that's not really doing anything for us. For example, this whole province of northern Greece. They're all recently conquered, so we have zero control. Our effective control of them is zilch. So we don't get any money from these guys, even though there's a lot of people living here. Our levies are also 200, not very impressive. But what we can do is we can go to diplomacy, create a subject. For this one, I would create the historical subject. The Duchy of Thessaly. It's going to be an Orthodox. It's going to be Greek, so it's going to be the same religion and culture as us, which makes it easy to keep them loyal and also makes it so they're not going to like convert the people and assimilate the people to a different culture, which would be bad. So we'll create it as a vassal. And now this guy, it says it's disloyal, but once we unpause and run for a month, that will go away. And they don't have zero control because they have cores on all of this land. So they just immediately cored it for free. And we can integrate this vassal 50 years from now or something, once our country has stabilized and we actually can get reasonable control this far away from our capital. But they're going to produce for us like 2,000 levies. The amount of money that they're going to get from this is a lot. Like they're going to get lots of base tax. Another benefit of the historical vassal, if you go to the country panel and look at the power of the estates, their crown power looks really low. It'll improve. But their nobles don't have that corrupt privilege that we have. That's unique to us, and also custom vassals we release. But this is an historical vassal, and they don't get this. It's like, so they're going to be even better at managing their land than we will be because they don't have those awful privileges. Okay, and this is not the only vassal, though it's by far the most important vassal to release. We have some other land that is also not integrated. So Upper Macedonia, these two provinces are conquered. There's this province that was conquered over in between Epirus and Thessaly, and then down here in southern Greece as well. So I'm going to release a vassal here. It doesn't really benefit me much economically. Like I have some control over 3 of these provinces because I have cores on them. So I'm getting a little bit of money. Not a lot, but a little. But I would have to core this myself. And I have other things I want my counselors to do. So, again, I'm going to go in. I'm going to create a subject, custom subject, Upper Macedonia. Make it a vassal. And I'm going to pick someone bad. Now, you need to be really careful about who you choose to run these custom vassals. Because whoever you pick leaves your court and starts up their own little fiefdom here in your new vassal, which means that person is no longer eligible to be a cabinet member or a commander. And so you really want to make sure you don't pick anyone who is a male member of your dynasty, anyone who is married to the male member of your dynasty, and anyone who is married to a courtier with good stats or who is a courtier with good stats. Because in all those cases, someone important, someone that you need in working for you directly in Constantinople is gone. Okay, so I'm not going to try to pronounce that lady's name. She's not married. She is not from the crown estate. But she is now in charge of Upper Macedonia. And this little province here is directly adjacent to her capital. See, she has much better control over at least 2 of the provinces now. This province even, she has decent control despite it not being integrated, just because she's going to have excellent proximity. I'm going to give her this one too, because this one is giving me basically nothing. I'm going to be dropping down to 0 control, even though it's integrated. It's not core. I don't have a majority Greek. But she's going to have proximity bonuses, and she'll be able to like culture convert it too. So I just got to go back to that mode. subject actions, see location. You can take that. This little guy here, well, Arta is the capital of Epirus. So I can just cede Pyli here in southern Epirus, which is the capital province for them, and they will also have pretty high control, even though it isn't even integrated yet, and they'll probably start integrating it for us. So once again, we just zoom back out, select Epirus, see location, given Pyli. Okay. And then the last one is Arcadia up here. So these three locations are not, I've got zero control. They don't cost me anything, but they also don't give me anything. And it would take an incredibly long time to integrate them. It basically takes like a century or something crazy like that if you don't dedicate a counselor. I have other things my counselors need to do. So again, I'm going to release this guy. And create subject in Arcadia. Vassal. Someone bad. John Comnenos here. He is not married. He's a decent choice. Okay, so those are two vassals, which they will pay us a tiny bit of money, which is more than we probably get from owning it directly, but they're not going to really produce much in the way of levies, or Arcadia is going to be kind of stuck, not really giving us levies, and even if they can produce them, because they don't have ships. But that will slightly reduce our base tax, which reduces costs for a bunch of things like cost of court. Economic base is our base tax base plus trade income. Diplomatic standing, stability also increase with your base tax, or with your economic base. If we look at buying food, there's a couple of provinces that are negative on food production, and they are going to be costing us money because we have to buy food for them. We're shipping food in. Now, if they're producing enough income to offset the expense, then releasing this province as a vassal is not useful, but we could release them as a vassal and make the food expense be someone else's problem by outsourcing it to our vassal. So the two biggest culprits here are Chaldiki, which is this guy province right there, and then Aden, which is the town of Philadelphia. I'm not going to release either of these as vassals. The town of Philadelphia has a marketplace that gives me 1 extra trade, and you do get quite a bit of money from trades. So despite this costing me almost 1 ducat, 0.85, I'm going to get a bunch of money from the trade. And because there's a huge surplus in the Constantinople market, 37,400 excess, 1,000 excess food, the price of food is going to go down. It's affected by supply and demand. So the actual cost eventually for the town of Philadelphia shipping in food is going to be much lower, something more like 0.2 or something. And the benefit of getting a little bit in taxes, and mostly from this running this marketplace and getting an extra trade, is going to be enough to make it worth it, I think. And similarly here, Thessalonica has a marketplace, also has a wharf. Where's the marketplace? There we go. It has a marketplace. Wharfs also give you some trade capacity too, so it's even better there. And also, the rest of the province gives me some decent tax base, like this Polygyros, because of the gold mine. It gives me some decent money here. It's high tax base, but I'm actually getting a third of a ducat every month from them, and even these two are actually giving me something as well. So it's not really worth it, I think, to remove this guy, despite the And again, the food price is going to go down. If food price wasn't going down, our conversation would be a little bit different. The other places that are costing me money for food is Edirne. This province, it also has a town with a market, and the food cost is not as bad. Don't release this. It's not going to help us. It's going to hurt our finances. But Messenia and Chios, these two are costing us some money. The cost will go down. You know, it's only -1 food, but they do cost us a little bit of money. And if you look at the province itself, I'm getting less than a 0.01 ducat a month from this province, and I'm losing probably about the same amount from this province from the food cost. So this province is adding a tiny bit of tax base, and I'm not getting any income from it. I'm getting like a tiny bit of levies from this guy. 10. I don't 10 soldiers is not a issue. So I'm actually going to release Messenia and Chios, although the marginal benefit here from our increasing our money is very small. Like it's going to be like 0.02 ducats or something, you know, tiny like that. But things are dire. Squeezing out every possible advantage is actually a good thing. So custom subjects, create Messenia as a vassal. And let's see, Theodora, you are married to someone. This guy has pretty good military, so let me just quickly check. Yeah, so he's our second best military guy. I need at least 2 really good military guys, so I don't want her. She's a bad choice. Let me go back to Messenia. So Eudokia, second cousin, a daughter of someone who's very important, but she's not that important. She can be in charge here. And then we're also going to create one in Chios. Vassal. Anna here, not married. Let's give it to her. Okay. The useful thing about giving it to women, women are not allowed to lead armies, be cabinet members, so like you can't lose someone who's high value in terms of stats because you can't really use them. There is a way to use them, but it's extremely costly with your legitimacy and stability, or I think it's just legitimacy. But our legitimacy is really bad. We need to fix it. We don't want to spend it right now. Okay, so we have vassals. Right now, it only is showing as a purist paying us, but like Thessaly will pay us a bunch. We'll get a little bit of money from Chios and Messenia as well. With our vassals released, now we need to cut military expenses because we have expenses here. I leave them as automated. And the first thing and the easiest thing to do is we have a bunch of cities with forts. Adrianopolis is guarding our approach with Bulgaria, which will almost certainly rival us once we unpause. Kallipolis is guarding the strait here for Turks invading. Philadelphia is surrounded by enemies, obviously needs a fortress, but it actually doesn't. Not in the game anyways. In real life, removing a fortress like this would basically be a terrible idea, despite it being very expensive. But this is costing us, even if we turn down fort maintenance, it's costing us about a ducat a month. It's going to be a little bit less than that as we basically remove some of the garrison. Garrison size will go down, but we don't need this. The other thing about this is it increases nobles and noble power, and we can't tax nobles right now. So we want their noble tax base share to be low. That's a very minor benefit. But these, fortifications, while in real life are very critical for the survival of the nation, right now, for our survival in the game, we have to get rid of them. And we still have some fortresses here in Constantinople. We have a regular fort, and we have the Theodosian walls. So if you look at the cost, Our castle is costing us, it says it's 2,000 because almost all of it is coming from wages for the 2,250 size garrison. Now this is going to shrink because our garrison size will go down when we have low maintenance, but the castle gives us a garrison size of 250. Our Theodosian walls give us a garrison size of 2,000. So it's telling us 4.5, but that's really kind of fake. That's the combined cost from both of these. Regardless, the vast majority of the cost here is coming from the Theodosian walls because they're 2,000 of the 2,500. So the walls have to go. I will keep the regular fort because this will block people from Turks from coming across the channel and going into our heartland, and having a fort on your capital to prevent someone from sort of decapitating your state by just sieging down this province in like 20 days is an element of safety. And my fort maintenance is going to be like 0.5 ducats. It's going to drop even lower than this. And because it's my capital, you get a 50% discount on the cost here. So it's actually not as bad as it looks to have it on your capital. And you don't actually need forts because all the Turks are split up into these little smaller countries that 1-on-1 you win the fight, even 1-on-2 or maybe even 1-on-3 with some help from your vassals and allies. You can win wars. Like winning the war is not a problem. It's fixing your economy. That's why you brought the financial wizard in. All right, so we fixed the forts. We can turn naval and army maintenance down. The reason we have naval and army maintenance is because we have a standing navy and a standing army. But the vast majority of our troops are levies. I mean, we have 10,000 levies and only 250 regular troops. You know, we actually have enough transport ships, you know, raising 40 fishing boats, mostly from Byzantium, from Constantinople. So we don't really need these. They would absolutely be nice to have, especially later in the game. But right now, they are costing us money. However, I am not going to remove them completely for a reason that I'm going to get into in just a minute. But we have 300 infantry, 250 cataphracts, heavy cavalry. They both cost us about the same. It's about 0.3 per month. So because the cataphracts are a lot stronger in combat, especially if you put them on the flanks as a part of a cavalry charge, so I'm going to split them in half. And the army with the infantry is going to be disbanded. Saves us a little bit of money. I'm going to do something similar here. Because the costs of the galleys and cogs are effectively the same, I'm going to keep one of the galleys. Let's keep the Constantinopolis. And this fleet of 9, which is costing us almost a ducat a month, it can give us a bonus on like maritime presence to increase our control of the regions near our capital through sea. But I don't think it's worth 1 ducat a month because we just can't tax very much. Our ability to tax is so bad. So I'm going to disband them. Now, we have 1 ship left. We have 1 army unit left here. And we've reduced our costs down to 0.32 and 0.1 ducats a month by doing this. Let's go over the other expenses. Cost of court increases legitimacy. We need legitimacy really badly. There are some disasters that have a random chance to trigger because our legitimacy is so low. Max it out. Stability also is contributing to the potential to trigger these disasters. And I mean, we need to pay stability to remove bad privileges. So again, max it out. Diplomatic spending. Well, this is nice. We don't actually need the loyalty of subjects. Our subjects are weak enough compared to us that it's fine. We don't need diplomatic capacity. We have tons of diplomatic capacity. The extra diplomats is something we'll have to work around, but it is possible to work around. So diplomatic spending is nice to have. It is not absolutely critical. Put it at 0. So we're really only spending on the court and stability, and then some expenses for paying for buildings and paying interest and buying food. That's it. All right, so we've changed our expenses. Now, let's hire some nobles to be our employees. So I'm going to put the first one on legitimacy, strength and government. Put this one on stability. And these two guys, whoever they be, are always going to be doing this for like years and years and years and years, their entire career. Next cabinet slots. So there's a couple of things. So I'm going to do increase province control, explain how to kind of optimize that in a little bit. I'm also going to change silo values towards communalism. You're already pushing towards communalism. And if you have individualism, there's some nice bonuses for your military and migration, but your states are unhappy. And communalism gives you a big bonus to revoking privileges. We have some really expensive privileges to revoke, so I want communalism. Now, you're already pushing towards communalism. You were already at like 0.3. Yeah, 0.3. So this is just me moving it faster. And this is a long-term kind of benefit. So I would, if you have to like switch something, this is what I would switch off. Okay, let's hire counselors. Before we hire, we have no money. We need to take a loan. It's okay. We can borrow. And counselors, it costs 7. Once the trades all get enacted and our tax base or economic base goes up because of all those trading, these get way more expensive. So we want to appoint the counselors before we unpause. And before the next month happens and we have to pay like 30 instead of 7. It's a huge difference. For these two, I need someone with high military. That's going to benefit the military cabinet action. I don't even care about admin and diplomatic ability because they are just doing this. So Alexis here is going to be on strengthening because that's more important. That's going to be more important for me to get high. The bonuses you get by being kind of positive legitimacy give you more crown power, which is really, really important to have more crown power. The stability is nice to have positive, but like rebels are not a serious problem as long as the disability isn't too bad. And so these estates here, it costs a ton of stability to remove. Oops. Where is it? There we go. I can't remove it unless I have 95 legitimacy. And it's true for all of these. You need the 95 legitimacy. So like getting legitimacy high enough, it'll both prevent any disasters from happening, and it will make sure that we have the ability to actually spend stability. So if you have to cut spending, cut stability, and also when you're picking the counselors, pick the second best guy for stability. All right, and then increasing control. I want someone who's good at admin. I'm going to take Emmanuel. Yeah. And for the fourth person, this guy with perfect diplomatic ability, well, I'll take him. So I have two guys that are really good at military. I have one each for diplomatic and admin. Now for commanders. When I pick my commander, I will always, you absolutely have to do this, pick someone from the crown estate. You start with two guys. The older brother, Demetrios, he's got the better military stats, so he's going to be the commander. And for our token navy, we're also going to have a military commander, and it's going to be the other guy, a cousin of our ruler, Constantinos here, as the admiral. The reason I did this, if we go over to estates, crown power, each of these guys is giving us a 25% bonus to crown power, because they're in command of our entire military and in our entire navy. We haven't raised levies. If you raise levies and there's other commanders, and this bonus gets diluted. The counselors, if I had other counselors who were not from a different estate, like I could also put, if I had crown estate counselors, I can put in the cabinet. They would have given a smaller bonus to my crown as well. Instead, they're giving bonuses to the nobles. Unfortunate, but there's not much I can do about it. I have to have them. And the bonus from a cabinet member is much smaller than the bonus from controlling your entire military and or navy. So this will get you well above 25% from crown power once you unpause and advance another a month. Our crown power will jump up, and we can get it to like maybe up between 25 and 30%. Right. And then lastly, a few minor things. So under culture, we have a bunch of Bulgarians. They're in some of these provinces up here. They are currently tolerated, or I think they're not tolerated. So we're going to add them as a tolerated culture. We have plenty of room under our capacity for cultures, and that's going to improve the happiness of any pop that is that wrong culture. So these Bulgarian pops are now a little bit happier than they were in. So you can, if you look at them, these guys have satisfaction, and it's a tolerated culture. So this is better than it would have been if it was a discriminated culture. Unfortunately, I didn't show beforehand, but like this gives you a little bit better happiness. You don't have as many unhappy guys that are starting to slowly tick up revolts. If they're happier, then your control improves too, because maximum control is reduced by average satisfaction. So their satisfaction will go up a little bit. Also, we can ally with Wallachia, and they are sort of this is sort of a failsafe. So if we have to fight like a large coalition of these guys, Wallachia will be a great advantage. Otherwise, they're not going to add very much. But it gives us some extra safety in case like Bulgaria or Serbia decide to come try to beat up on us, or we have a tough fight down here. Although we shouldn't have a tough fight if things go well. We can also queue up some tax. None of these really matter. You have to go organized religion first. I like going diplomats because I'm not paying for diplomats right now. You can get guilds because more literacy will get us faster research speed. Food cost, like there's not like, this unique one is nice, but like there's not much you really need. So I just queued up a bunch, and we will unlock Age of Renaissance pretty quickly. In like 3-5 years. So the techs here there's good techs in Renaissance. And then another thing is a policy on double Sabbath. So do we treat Saturday as a day of rest as well as Sunday? And if we allow double Sabbaths, clergy power increases. We do get more monthly influence, or not religious influence, and population growth, but an increase in power for an estate decreases everyone else's power, including the crown. It's a zero-sum game. So I'm going to actually do the forbid double Sabbath. It does reduce research speed, but oh well. We need crown power so badly. Like squeezing a little bit of extra crown power out is really nice. And this production efficiency will actually help things in terms of producing more money. So forbid double Sabbath. No, you guys can go to work on Saturday. We're not going to force you to have a day of rest. And oh yeah, we need to rival countries. Unfortunately, we can't like rival the Ottomans. They're not big enough. But I'll just rival a bunch of the other countries here. And the reason to do that, your spy network is weaker if you don't have rivals, and you have progress towards conciliatory. Conciliatory, we don't want that because belligerence increases causes belly speed, it decreases war cost. We're going to be doing a lot of wars. So I just rival all these guys to prevent that. And we are ready to go. So our money looks bad, but we're going to have a big increase of income once our vassals kick in, once our trade kicks in. And so we're actually going to be pretty sustainable in our expenses here. Now, for fun, I'm going to be trying to make a Byzantium run work using this setup as a sort of an extended tutorial so you can see how you can try and succeed in the early game. I fully expect I'm going to be doing a bunch of restarts, so I'll be keeping track of that. But that's my plan. I'm going to have a kind of a mini series of playing this Byzantine Empire run, and I'm going to, especially in the very early game, not do much editing and just kind of show you how I'm micromanaging everything, because I will be micromanaging a lot of things to try and keep our finances steady. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, please comment, like, and or subscribe so that others can find these videos too. And I'll see you all next time when we start the reconquest of Anatolia.